let's start this game and let's start introducing the guys here on Romanticide, spawning in the top left and corner as the blue Protoss. Playing for Raise Your Edge Gaming, it is ZEST.
And spawning here at the bottom right side of the map, it is the red Zerg player representing Kai Z Gaming. Give it up for Solar.
Alright, what are you expecting out of this first map of the series?
Well, there's always the case where you can kind of start off with a bang, catch your opponent off guard, right? Go for maybe some little bit of a more cheeky play, but then there's also the other side where you want to kind of start up normal and kind of feel out your opponent, see what's up, and then kind of adjust from there. Looks like ZEST, on the other hand, he is starting off pretty standard, as well as Solar. He is going up for a very, very natural common timing on that hatchery, the natural hatchery, which unfortunately has to be placed at the natural dirt just because ZEST has, of course, sent out that early probe to help block that that second base, I guess the common natural base.
Yeah. It's just so common nowadays. Just kind of always happens. And to be honest, Romanticide, like, it's not the biggest loss ever. Like, you're just gonna take your natural. The third base is quite easy to defend as well. It usually never is a problem, but more so on this map than others. We're gonna see how this will develop. As of now, as Snoopy was saying, it doesn't really look like any of those two players are trying to go for something fishy.
Yeah. By the way, I think your mic is just a little tad louder, so is it possible to just turn it down just a tad?
Yeah, of course.
All right. Awesome. Perfect. All right. Here we go. Ling speed on the way. Looks like ZEST going for that Stargate opening, which he really, really loves to open with. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he opens up with the Oracle, maybe a Phoenix or a Void Ray. My guess is probably either a Oracle or a Void Ray.
Yeah, I just tuned it up a little bit down, so I hope it is better now. Sorry for this. But yeah, I think both guesses are actually very nice. I still think it's gonna be a Void Ray. Yeah, it is a Void Ray. Just due to the map just being overall kind of huge, I guess you can get a little bit more by denying vision than you can get by getting map control, just because like it's so hard to even keep map control with this map so big. So I kind of like the choice of going for Void Ray and trying to maybe cut a little bit of a corner, get into the mid game as well. But denying vision at this stage, of course, is probably the most important thing.
Yeah, looks like the first Overlord here on the cliff area will be taken out. It's gonna free up ZEST to go ahead and take this third here.
Yeah, he's probably gonna try and shark around to kill a couple more Overlords. Don't think he's gonna be finding more, to be honest. There's one on the top right edge, but I doubt it will just do too much. And he's actually sending the Void Ray through the map.
Yeah.
To get some scouting, I don't know. Solar just doubling it up with the Zerglings as of now, but it really doesn't look like he's going to go for something aggressive.
Now, interesting. Usually, ZEST will send one Void Ray to the main while the Oracle kind of does a stasis ward into the mineral line of like another base. This time around, he's going to actually go ahead and attack with both the Void Ray and the Oracle at the natural. Does get two drones there, so not too much. Well defended there by Solar. He did have the two queens there parked, so he should be fine. And a little bit of a link counterattack won't get too much done as there are two adept parked there.
Yeah, it was a very quick warp-in by ZEST, getting two adepts in position to just counter this little bit of a run-by. I don't think it's gonna get much here at the Wolof, just trying to force some APM out of ZEST. Coming back to what you said about the Oracle and the Void Ray, that's a very interesting choice, the one he made. It kind of paid off as well, getting 2 drones. Um, I think that's mostly because many players by now kind of know Zest is trying to go for that stasis ward, and they just try to react to that. 2 probes are gonna fall to the links, but by now Zest already has 2 Stargates, a Twilight Council, and is gonna drop a Robo as well. Not triple Stargate, just gonna try to rush the Templar Archives a little bit faster. It's once more just adapting to what Zerg players have been doing so far against these Void Grey heavy build.
Yeah, so here we do see Zest throwing down that early Templar Archive. I think that's kind of in response to predicting that Solar is going to go ahead and drop that Hydralisk then to, of course, counter the Void Ray. We don't, Solar is pretty much in the dark. He doesn't know if Zest followed up with a double additional 2 Stargate or if he's going for a gateway heavy centric army. Looks like Solar will finally kind of scout in here, grab some intel with this Overseer as well as this little changeling here. We'll see what is happening, what Zest is going for, and yeah, he should be wary of what is happening as he throw down his Baneliness to help deal with the gateway units.
That's a wonderful scouting by Solar, getting pretty much all of the intentions of Zest in one go. Just catching the Templar Archives, not researching. He knows he's gonna expect some Archons mostly. He saw many of the gateways being dropped, not all of them. Some of them are here in the front. And charge being researched, he saw that those Stargates are not getting anything. He's gonna probably go a little bit heavier on the melee units as he starts. +1 melee, centrifugal hooks, and just a couple Hydras just for support against the Archons mostly.
Yeah, looks like man, this is kind of old school. I feel like we don't see a lot of Archon drops against Zergs these days for some reason. I guess like the really common 2 Archon War Prism drop opening has kind of died down by quite a lot. So I guess haven't seen that as much. But anyhow, we do see Zest going for a 2-prong attack, going one in the the 4th base as well as a drop into the main base.
That's a scary run by if I've ever seen one. Most of the army needs to be collapsing here in the main. This leaves pretty much free real estate for Zest at the 4th base, just getting that archery real quick. And in the meanwhile, the drop into the main has still dealt some crazy damage, 15 drones falling, and Zest is establishing quite a powerful warping position here, just outside the cliff to the natural.
We'll see if Zest does commit here to the front line. I think you could actually back out if you wanted to, wait for maybe Storm or something, but decides to actually dive on in here at the natural. And oh no, what does Solar has? He doesn't have a lot of units here left. I mean, it's getting a little scary.
No Benlin here is just doing so much damage. Zest getting on the ramp to the main. Even the drones being pulled into the fight, but Archons made very short work of them. And Hydras are just not that great against these charge lots. Charge lots gonna get into the mineral line, but the damage has already been dealt. Zest, clean and quick victory in game number 1. Just getting a little bit of an edge over his opponent.
Yeah, going for a very textbook standard kind of build order. Really strong. You kind of, put the Zerg in the dark with the Overlord, killing all the scouting Overlords. And then after that, you just get your quick dirt and then just go for a quick Templar Archive. And didn't even really need the Storm. Just went for straight up Archons.
Yeah. It was just a little bit too quick for Solar to react to it properly. Solar was kind of greeting, just trying to react to too many different things at once, and just being so banely light on his defense just was overall a little bit of a disaster. Not enough larva as well, but not even a macro hatch, which is something we've seen lately out of players such as DRG, Rain or Zero. Just to have the amount of units you need to be overall better prepared against some sudden switch of techs. And Zest didn't even make it too sudden. It was just I think it was just a very good timing in which Desert kind of needs to commit that defense, and Solar wasn't committed to that at all.
Yeah,
He
like
didn't need
yeah, like you
the
said, he by the time the attack came along, there wasn't even any banelings here out in the field for Solar. So, I mean, imagine if he had like a bunch of banelings already morphed in, that would have been definitely been a easier hold there for our Zerg. But anyhow, here we go into game number 2. It's going to be on Jagannatha, and why don't you go ahead and introduce our first player?
We're in the top right-hand corner. The Blue Pro that's currently leading the series 1-0 is spawning, playing for Raise Your Edge Gaming. It is ZEST.
And spawning here at the bottom left, he is the red Zerg player, representing Kaizi Gaming. Make some noise for Solar.
It's gonna be an unusual hatch block by ZEST. Even on Jagannatha, sending the first probe just straight out of your first duel to stop that archery from going down at unusual timing. Getting into the third, just as we were saying in the first game, it's just overall happens every time. Nothing too strange here at all.
Yeah, we do see the second straight game where both players are opening up pretty standard. Well, I guess like in the early game, it's not really much kind of cheeses that you can really do. I mean, maybe a cannon rush, or on the Zerg side you go for a Ling rush, but besides that, not really too much.
Yeah, especially on these kind of big maps such as Romanticide and Jagannatha, it's just you're never gonna cut it like that on a map such as Jagannatha with a Ling rush or with a cannon rush. To be honest, just cannon rushes are pretty easy to break on this map. They're not that great, and of course Ling rush with such a huge rush distance is just never gonna cut it, let's be honest, especially against a player such as ZEST.
Yeah, and I think also based on these two players' reputation, they're not really the cheesy type anyway, so yeah, just gonna be playing it pretty normally. And will be interesting to see what ZEST goes for this game. Last game he went for the Stargate into the Void Ray and Orgo. Maybe this time he goes for the same, or maybe he changes it up. We shall see.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna change it too much. Yeah, he's gonna drop a Stargate. I think he's gonna drop at least one more. It's Jagannatha. Like, getting air units early on is just so much valuable. And to be honest, I really doubt Solar will go for anything that isn't really some kind of Hydra tech later on in the game.
Yeah.
Alright, ZEST, curiously enough, is not even sending his own adept out to get scouting information, not scared of an early lair, which is kind of interesting. It's not something you see every day, that a Protoss player just kind of refuses to scout at this stage in the game. Probably just not too comfortable being around Solar, not too comfortable being against a player who can get some nasty counter damage early on. So he's just gonna wait off with his adept and get his first Void Ray.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit risky because Solar could have definitely gone for like a mass Ling attack, and on this map especially, that would have actually been pretty good considering like the surface area that Solar could get on that kind of the wall there. But luckily for him, Solar has just been mainly macroing up, as we do see ZEST going to go ahead and throw down that third Nexus.
That's very much playing like he knows what his opponent is up to, knows what his opponent's playstyle has been nowadays, and just getting a very early third Nexus, just getting his Stargate production a little bit slowed down, not gonna get an Oracle as quickly as he did in the previous game. Actually he did. Oh, wait, never mind. Just gonna drop a second Stargate and stop production for a while. But he's still gonna get a couple of drones here at an edge roll, actually 3. They're just pretty consistent, to be honest. Like, even a 4th one at the third base, not too shabby.
Yeah, well, it's twice as much as he got last game. I mean, he had 2 drones this time around, up that to 4 drones. But We do see Zest once again throwing down that second Stargate. Now, last game he also threw down a second Stargate, but didn't really utilize it that much. He actually went for a quick Templar Archive. This time around, actually doesn't have really much to defend the third, so we'll lose a free pylon there.
Yeah, he just didn't warp in units fast enough. Didn't have what it took to defend from the counter. Gonna lose in the depth and the pylon. Not devastating damage, yes, but it's still something. He's still like losing a little bit of coverage on that side, just keeping these Overlord Ray back home over there. And the Oracle didn't break through into the main, so these Zerglings are actually kind of getting some damage. Like a bunch of probes are actually falling right now. These Void Rays surely don't kill Zerglings fast enough. And it looks like Solar wants to get even a bigger advantage. Like right now, 10 probes falling down is just insane damage. Zest is still gonna be ahead in workers, but that's only because Solar is just preparing this fishy attack with the queens into the Dropaloads and just a bunch of Roach and Ravagers ready to get through the map.
Oh man, I love this. He knows that Zest doesn't really have too much right now, and he's gonna go ahead do a big timing push with these queens. These queens, of course, will help out against the Void Rays, and then the rest of the ground units, the Ravagers, the Roaches, the Mass Speedlings, should be enough to cover the ground. There is not a lot here. Shield batteries being thrown up, but man, this attack is already knocking on the front door.
Oh, take some notes, user players, because this is some crazy good build out of Solar. Dropping down that creep with the Overlords, getting a creep tumor as well, and there's just so much Zerg right at the front of the natural. Crazy good build by Solar. One I surely will take a page out of.
Yeah, this is a really good kind of timing push right there by Solar. By the way, guys, if you do want to get that replay, it's available in the marketplace of the Matcherino. The Matcherino link is pinned up at the top of the chat box, where you can head on over, enter the coupon code AX225. That will go ahead and contribute 50 cents for free to the overall prize pool and help out the players.
Yeah, it's certainly well needed. And, you know, it's free, so why don't you go and do it?
Yeah.
We're getting ready to get in the third map. Is going to be Pillars of Gold. Score is tied. Deservedly so, I'd say. And these two players are already showing some very interesting new, well, not even new, like very interesting, clean build orders.
Yeah. Now,
Oh man, I love that drop load play. Like, it was so good.
yeah, it was a little bit of adjustment, because really the game opened up pretty much the same, right, as the first game. I mean, there was of course a little bit more drones killed this time around, but I mean, the counterattack with the Lings got 9 probes there uncharacteristically, and knowing that Zest didn't have really anything on the ground, went for a really great strategy there, going for an aggressive push, and was caught Zest with his pants down. So nice little win there, and we'll tie up the series 1-1.
All right, let's get into Pillars of Gold, top right-hand corner. Here, the blue Protoss is currently spawning, just being tied in the score, but he surely has some aces up his sleeve. Make some noise for Raise Your Edge Gaming, ZEST!
And spawning here at the bottom left corner of the map, he is a red Zerg player hailing from Korea and playing for KaiZ Gaming. Give it up for Solar.
Alright, usual edge block, just gonna take the third. It's a little bit more damaging here on Pillars of Gold than it is on all other maps, but still, it's just kind of the standard. Once again, we're playing on a map in which Stargate is highly valuable, so that's what I'm expecting. But the real question now is, are you expecting Solar to go as aggressive as he did in a previous game?
I don't think so. Only because maybe because he got that kind of the second hatchery at the 6 o'clock base. I think if he wanted to go for more an aggressive game here, maybe he would take the one that's like right below the main base instead. I think that's kind of a quicker path to the opponent base. So yeah, I think just based off the hatchery positioning, I would say probably Solar is going to go for more of a macro game this time around.
This doesn't mean he's not gonna change plans during the game. Like, because that's my opinion, of course. I still think he's kind of just trying to get as much scouting as possible and just try to adapt a little bit more than he did in the first game. The first game's problem was kind of clearly his lack of adaptment to what was happening during that game. And ZEST kind of took advantage of that. And he's just so good at doing just that. So I want Solar to be just a little bit more on the alert with his scouting patterns. And maybe, just maybe, go for a timing himself.
Yeah, I think it's going to be based on the scouting information. Yeah, I think like you could go into a game kind of having a pre-prepared plan and build, but if the game, you know, progresses and you see something different, you gotta adjust. So if Solar sees ZEST being very, very, you know, kind of greedy there with the economy and the tech, he might go once again for the Overlord drop with the queens. At least some type of aggression.
It's really pretty interesting how he's already pre-spreading his overloads. Knowing the Void Break can be just a real scary thing. Denying vision and, of course, dropping that supply numbers. But as of now, doesn't really look like ZEST is just actively trying to deny vision more than he's actually trying to get scouting of his own. Because this is a Twilight Council play, not an heavy target, not a second target, and could very well be Glaives here. Because he's dropping down 2 more gateways, 3 more gateways. Oh yeah, this is absolutely Glaives.
Yeah, he actually went for the Twilight Council before the third Nexus, so that's a really good telltale sign. Orgo comes on in, just only takes down 2 drones. But the real heavy damage will be in that Glaive Adept timing.
Already not seeing a Void Ray should kind of alarm Solar that this is not the same thing that his opponent has been doing in the past 2 games. Gonna drop a Ro4, very good reflex on that. But he's gonna need quite a lot of Zerglings once the Glaive Adepts actually show up. And losing Zerglings to the wall, not what you want. Absolutely not. He realizes that in time, just gonna withdraw for the time being.
Glaive Adept upgrade is about 75% done or so. More Adepts being warped in here. And we should see a kind of a push out, a move out very, very soon as that upgrade is about to finish. You want to be attacking at the front door right when the upgrade is done.
Well, there was such a beautiful theme by ZEST that it was kind of hard to see. He was keeping his Adept just outside the range of vision that the Zerglings would have had attacking the wall. Solar sent his Zerglings attacking the wall and he didn't see the Adepts being warped in the natural. Even though they were so close. Like, that was such a good thing.
Yeah, we do see the Oracle trying to do a stasis ward while this attack is happening. Try to distract a Solar, but here we go. Adept is going to go ahead and shade in here. Not a lot here as the Zerglings kind of contemplate whether to get on top of these Adepts.
Yeah, the Adepts are kind of taking a good ground over here in the third. One of the queens is very bruised, but now it's time for a bunch of roaches to actually show up. The Zerglings are following the shade while the roaches try to thin down the numbers of these Adepts, which are actually going to escape. Not gonna take any severe losses, just gonna lose 4 drones is Solar, while ZEST is kind of not really getting a lot of damage over here. And this will only get worse the more this game goes on. This Glaive Adept timing didn't deal the damage that it was required to. And Solar is in a pretty nice spot, even though he's not really taking a fourth, not really ahead in workers, but he has quite a sizable army.
Yeah, and there's really nothing here for ZEST. He's only his first Immortals now being in production. Imagine if Solar did go for that counterattack, it would have been pretty scary. But we do see a shoe battery here. He is getting that Immortal. He just probably gonna need Chrono Boost that out, as there's always that, of course, that threat of the counterattack. But it looks like Solar, on the other hand, he's kind of droning back up, trying to macro up, as he did commit a lot of larva into army units instead of those drones. So yeah, we should see Solar kind of throwing down that fourth base very soon, and just continuously drone up.
That's an infestation pit before the fourth. That's an interesting play. I don't really see the reason for it. Why would you need an infestation pit like this early?
Yeah, I think
it's gonna cancel the Hydra then.
Huh. That is very interesting. I was about to say maybe he is going for the early infestation pit to get the early hive for the lurker upgrade. But with that cancellation of the Hydras, I am not quite sure anymore.
Yeah, like right now he's gonna start the Hydra then back again. He's also gonna stop ZEST from taking the fourth, but I feel like that kind of advantage he took is kind of slipping out of his hands. Like right now, delaying so much stuff, like that infestation pit so early, just did absolutely nothing for him right now. Like that is might as well been wasted resources. Like it's kind of not great. Like unless you want to take an early hive or just maybe drop down some Swarmos, it's just weird.
Very weird indeed. And now we do have ZEST going for an attack here. He does have a good amount of sentry energy. Let's see how good his force fields are.
A lot of Blink Stalkers. That's a lot of them. 10 more are gonna be warped in. Ravagers not gonna have the easiest times of their lives dropping down those piles on top of the Stalkers. Here comes a couple very good force fields. Just gonna lock so much of the army of Solar out of the fight. That's a lot of Zerglings, but this is still an army that's very hard to deal with. Lurkers then just gonna be started as well as the Hive. But there's not gonna be much Hydras with this defense, just mostly Ravagers and Zerglings. And as you can see, ZEST is kind of afraid to drop into that fourth base. But the Warp Prism is very safe back there. 10 more Stalkers could be warped in as soon as those pylon finishes. And yeah, this could be very scary very quickly for Solar.
Yeah, Solar doing a nice little counterattack with a group of roaches. Ro4 ZEST to kind of warp in at home instead of this point of contention. But here we go. Looks like ZEST once again engaging here. Not quite finding any damage though.
Well, one of the Immortals is very low. He's gonna fall down. That's some very good damage by Solar. Zerglings trying to get surface area. The piles raining down on top of the Stalkers. That's a very aggressive blinking. So many piles right now are connecting. And Solar is gonna take such a great fight. So many Stalkers are still there. One more blink forward. He needs reinforcements, and Solar is losing all of his Ravagers. 9 more Roaches incoming. One of the Immortals is still alive, still getting kills. Drones being pulled into the fight. These Queens and Ravagers doing their best. Solar took such a great fight, but he is right now crumbling under the amount of warping that ZEST has been doing this far. More Ravagers are gonna fall. Another aggressive blink forward. Roaches are gonna pop out of the archeries. If this is going to be a defense, it's gonna be so close. Roaches not really doing that great against these Immortals. 10 more Stalkers, and it's gonna be game. ZEST currently a match point after a very aggressive blinking play.
Wow, yeah, really came down to that big, huge attack. And somehow, some way, ZEST manages to win that fight. And at that point, you know, losing his fourth base would have been GG at that stage, because, you know, you don't want to be 3 bases versus 3 bases as a Zerg.
Yeah, I feel like Solar was expecting charged lots and not Stalkers, because not having Hydras in this scenario is just not very great. Like, there were even just 2 Immortals but those Roaches still couldn't make a dent past the army once the Ravagers fell down. And like, I'm a very big fan of these kind of decisive maneuvers, but it was a very risky one from ZEST.
Yeah, and the thing it manages just to pull off, I think because partly Solar was a bit undecisive with his tech path. I mean, remember he did make that Hydros then and then just canceled it. Imagine he had some Hydros in that fight. I think it would have been a different fight. Or even imagine if he had some Lings mixed in that with the Roaches and Ravagers. Might have actually swung in a different favor because Lings are a bit better against Stalkers than straight up Roaches and Ravagers. So
yeah, like he did have some, but the numbers were very low. Like he could never get kind of a surround on top of that army, so it was just a little bit of a lackluster army in the end. Roaches, as we all know, don't really scale that well past a certain part of the game, and we've seen in this game why. But it's time for the fourth game of the series, which could or couldn't be the last one. We're gonna see. Currently spawning in the top right-hand corner is the player who could end it all right here and right now. Currently a match point, playing for Raise Your Edge Gaming. It is ZEST.
And spawning here at the bottom left corner of the map is the red Zerg player from Kaiji Gaming. He needs to win this game or else he is eliminated. Can he do it? It is Solar. By the way, guys... Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I apologize if I pronounce Solar's name wrong. I know there's like people that pronounce it as Solar, some people that pronounce it as Solar. So I think I just kind of gravitated towards Rushy's pronunciation of Solar. So I kind of copied that, but apologies if it's like Solar instead.
I have to be honest. It's so hard for me to find a difference. That's the nature of not being native English, but you know. First time we're gonna see a short map in this series, and in the three largest maps we didn't see any like big long late game scenarios, so which is kind of weird considering how those two players are playing lately. But we kind of seen by both the shades of ZEST, the more gateway heavy and the more Stargate heavy. We've seen him go for a lot of charge lots. We've seen him go for a lot of blink stalkers. We've seen him go for a double word ray oracle play, but we haven't seen him go back to what has been his signature kind of build order in the past few months, which has been that kind of a super heavy Vault Ray style. And it has done him some good here on Oxide, so might as well be doing that back again.
So we do see the Stalker kind of twitching a little bit here. I guess, does unfortunately let the Zerglings in. Will he get sight at the Stargate? Looks like he will.
Yeah, that's some very good scouting on the Solar, just stepping up his scouting game after game, which is indeed very nice. And ZEST is gonna start it off with a Void Ray once more, just overall the average beginning build order for this matchup.
We do see the Overlord does peep in just a little tad, just to confirm what units is being made out of that Stargate. It could have been the Orko, it could have been a Phoenix, it could have been the Void Ray. Looks like it is a Void Ray, and we'll pop that balloon.
Not that kind of balloon that fights back, sadly. Just gonna fall.
Wait. Is there a balloon that actually fights back? I want that balloon.
I mean, there are Pokemons who do that.
Oh, yeah.
Thinking about StarCraft units, yeah, maybe not. Like, unless you consider Baneling's balloons. Are Baneling's balloons?
No, I don't think they're. They're balloons. They don't really float in the air.
Are oracles balloons?
Maybe. Although they're kind of a little bit harder to pop.
Uh, y- are they harder to pop than overloads? I don't really know.
Oh yeah, I guess maybe. Maybe. Never mind. They do got some
Alright.
shields, but yeah, they're not that hard
They're
to
not very
pop.
sturdy, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're probably even more balloony than overloads. Overloads are slow balloons, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. Definitely. By the way, thank you, Zon and Gern and Bitterwood. Always great to see you in the chat. By the way, guys, if you... Oh, actually, let's hold that thought. There is a stasis warp being dropped here into this third base. We'll get a decent catch.
Wow. That was awesome out of ZEST. So many drones and the queen being stuck over here. And even an adept run by into the natural is gonna get a couple drones before withdrawing. And that's a lot of white rays being produced. Even with just the 2 Stargates, still gonna be at 3. And with 5 more gateways, like this is such a hard army to counter. It's a very similar strat to game 1. And the game has been going pretty much in the same way. But this time ZEST is being so much quicker with his aggression, while Solar is gonna go again for the build he did in game number 2. This is gonna be great.
Oh, man. Now, this time around, he didn't lose like 9 probes off the bat, but let's see how ZEST defends this a bit better. I mean, he does have actually a bit more void rays this time around, so maybe he'll be able to hold, but the shield batteries are being morphed in. I'm not sure if it's going to be morphed in time, though, but units are streaming in here for the Zerg.
Oh, Solar not gonna go for the natural this time. He's gonna just keep these queens right between the natural and the third. He's gonna collapse on the third. Just gonna get the pylon, get those adepts, and maybe get a kill while the queens are actually fighting back over here. Huge feedbacks by ZEST on 2 of these queens, forcing a lot of energy to be used and being wasted. Narcan is gonna be also morphed right outside the natural. That's a huge shield battery overcharge, but it's not gonna last a lot. Piles come flying down. These zealots and probes and adepts are gonna be recalled into the natural. ZEST trying to buy as much time as possible. Right now, it's gonna collapse on top of the queens. Huge fight going on over here at the third. Zealots gonna get the charge on top of those queens. Many of them are crumbling right now. Transfuses not high enough in numbers. Those feedbacks did this fight such a great work. And now ZEST is gonna completely clear the attack out of Solar. Not without losses, but not enough for him to die in this game. It's gonna be the 3rd victory for ZEST. And what was the closest out of these games, I'd say. But Solar still gonna be eliminated